is the morning after the night before. And I still don't know what to say. I'm still kind of shell-shocked to everything that's happened at Celtic Football Club in the last 14 hours or so. Crazy is the word to use. So much so, I still don't know how to go about making content after what happened last night. Brendan Rodgers has, of course, resigned. He has left Celtic Football Club. Dermot Desmond went on to release a scathing statement, which was a full-on character assassination of Brendan Rodgers. We now find ourselves in a situation where Martin O'Neill, 73-year-old Martin O'Neill, will take temporary charge of Celtic alongside Sean Maloney until a permanent appointment is made. And there is just so much uncertainty and chaos going on at the club right now. The emotions amongst the Celtic support are varied. But I would say more than anything, despite anybody's opinions on the now former manager Brendan Rodgers, despite anybody's opinions on the majority shareholder Dermot Desmond, and despite, thoughts and feelings on anybody involved in this whole mess, I think the one emotion that we should share more than anything else, and the one thing we should be together on, is just the actual concern we should have for the club. That word in itself, concern. Some people might be happy Rodgers is gone. Some people might be sad Rodgers is gone. Some people might just not know what to think. But I think the one thing that we should all probably agree on is there is a lot of concern to be had for the position Celtic Football Club finds itself in. I done an hour-long stream last night. In fact, it was almost an hour and a half. I've basically said all I can say to this moment in time until I can gather my thoughts, and things are already moving very, very quickly, it seems. But I really don't know where to begin and where to end with everything that's happened. So I'm just checking in before this video starts because, funnily enough, I do have a piece of content which is very suitable for today. As you know, last night we published the most recent episode of the Sellik the Thunder podcast, an episode in which we talked about whether or not this would be a do or die week for Brendan Rodgers, and ultimately a week that would determine whether or not he should be Celtic manager moving forward. Before the week even got going, he decided it was best to walk off and leave the club in the hands of the owners and whatever. I think he'd done the very admirable thing of walking before it got worse. He'd done something that Neil Lennon never could. But we done that podcast without any knowledge or any insider information of Rodgers potentially leaving. And it became a bit of a waste of time, really, that discussion, that hour podcast. But afterwards, when we sat down to record the Thunder Club, we done it in a fashion where we basically pretended, what if Rodgers does go, if he was to leave right now? Lo and behold, he did leave. So I'm going to now release that as a kind of bonus podcast just on top of last night's conversation. Don't worry, Thunder Club members, there is an extended version of this to come out which will include more conversation as your Thunder Club exclusive. Remember, you can join the Thunder Club using the link in the top line of the description or the join button below. But I did want to put out this because it's basically us playing the game of who next? Who do we fancy to be the next Celtic manager? Who would be our top candidate? If we were to put ourselves in the shoes of the Celtic board, and Christ, I don't want to be in those shoes, but if we were to be the ones that made the decision, who would we go for? And it was a very kind of hypothetical conversation, but it's one that now carries a lot of weight. So I'm going to let that play now, and that's going to be content to bide some time until this evening when I have something more proper put together and when I have the chance to gather my thoughts. Now, I understand a lot of people will be pointing towards the Stephen McGowan article that was released today. He, in the last half hour as I record this at midday, there is an article that's been released saying that Kieran McKenna is among a list of candidates and one of the top candidates for Celtic. I've made it clear for months on this channel my top candidate would be Kieran McKenna, but we recorded this, of course, before this article was released. We will talk about that later on today in the channel. This is going to be a big week for content. There's going to be a lot of things to be said, a lot of things to be spoke about, so just bear with me on that. For now, I'm going to leave you with this part of the Thunder Club. Yeah, and everybody's going to have different opinions on different names linked with the job, so just keep that in mind. You know, I think we're all allowed to have opinions here. I don't think anybody is more right than anyone else. There's going to be a very divisive issue who takes the reins at Celtic in the next few weeks, so enjoy this. Yeah, madness, absolute madness. I didn't even know what to kind of come into the Thunder Club today with as the overarching topic, because everything's just so shite. But I kind of like the idea of coming into the conversation of what is next. Should Rodgers go? And I think we talked about this quite recently on a Thunder Club. I think it might have been me, you and Calum, I can't remember. But we were talking about, if Rodgers was to hypothetically go, who would we bring in? But I'm not even talking about specific names here. I just think that we find ourselves in this situation right now that, like, what is actually next? And I don't know if anybody necessarily has the answer for it. And I'm kind of worried. Even if we lose on Sunday, right, Rodgers, for me, has to go. We've made that clear on the podcast there. He has to go. But on Monday morning, when a statement would hypothetically come out saying Brendan Rodgers has left the club, blah, 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 I don't know what to expect. And I'm quite worried about that.
I mean, just the thing that immediately came to mind there was it feels like we've been detached from that sort of space for 5 years now.
Aye.
The proper unknown of who you're going to get as a manager, because even when Ange left, there was maybe like a week where we were kind of flapping and going, oh fuck, who are we actually going to get? But then eventually it became very clear that Brendan Rodgers was going to come in, and it kind of settled things down. As we said in the podcast, that's what we needed. But now we're back to 2021 summer. Even if it is next summer, we're looking for a manager. Like 5 years between that, the market's changed completely as to the names we were talking about back then. I mean, let's just go through the names that we were also linked to. Enzo Maresca, who is now Chelsea manager.
Who could be sacked soon, but I think we've maybe surpassed the point I haven't been Celtic manager.
Eddie Howe, who's been in charge of Newcastle.
I think we're far.
So, but we're looking at
Rafa
everything's
Benitez.
completely different. Oh Christ!
He went Panathinaikos, didn't he?
He's
Aye.
away there, so
Won't be long until he's managed in some third-rate fucking
like
national team.
like
As you said there, like in our lifetime, I guess we can say it's been lucky because we've not really had to worry too much about managers.
Aye, I know.
Because we've had Rodgers in the first spell, Lennon, and then back to Rodgers. So it's like recently, anyway, in the last 10 years or so, like we've not really had a fresh face. Well, obviously Postecoglou, but
Celtic have felt kind of safe in that regard.
Aye.
Even because, let's be honest, they were trying to play it safe with Eddie Howe, and it just fell through at the last minute. We were forced to take a gamble with Ange. It wasn't a gamble they were wanting to take.
Originally.
They were forced to take that gamble. So Celtic have been kind of relatively safe the last 10 years. And I think that's why so many people probably do just want Ange back. 'Cause I think we're used to being safe. Used to just knowing what comes next and being like, oh, that's cool. But and it's nothing against Ange. That's the reason I don't want him. Because I think it's time for us to fucking stand up, puff it
take
our
that
chest
step,
and go,
innit?
right, see, maybe this is part. Listen, we know who's to blame for Celtic no taking the next step. It's the cunts at the top, right? Well, let's not beat around the bush. That is the step. But are we systematically adding to that problem because we just keep accepting these appointments and these kind of things? Are we adding? We're not giving somebody the chance to come in and be the next, when we went and got Martin O'Neill in 2000, it was a big appointment. He was off the back of winning a League Cup with Leicester. It was like a huge show of intent, and we didn't know how it would maybe go. And obviously Celtic won the great in the late 90s. He came in, turned the whole culture of the club around, and is probably single-handedly responsible for the 21st century dominance that Celtic have found. Who knows? There might be somebody out there that could do that, and we're just refusing to go and find it.
I think it's so fair because it's like I was saying that the other day, yesterday, sorry, actually to my pal. It was like, see that way. Obviously, we've said it there. We love Ange to death. Best football we've probably seen.
If he came back, I'd be doing pump my chest up, and fucking hands in the eye and all that. But
exactly. But it's like that way. What you're saying there, like I think it'd be kind of nice in a weird way to like get somebody in and have a chance to get a new hero, basically, if that makes sense. Because like,
see the way we felt about Ange the first time.
It was a nice feeling.
We could experience that
it was
with
somebody
fresh.
else.
It was
Aye.
And I kind of want that.
I know it's a gamble and it could go wrong, but you need to take it eventually. Do you know what I mean?
Gambles. It could go wrong. I think there's this. Let's just flip that for a minute. If we go and get Ange, it could go tits up. There's just as much a chance as him failing as anybody else failing, especially because he's kind of doing his luck a bit as well at the minute. I'm not saying it would, but I just think that it's probably time for us just to try something, anything. On that note, fuck knows who. And maybe that's obviously an off-turning point, or a turn-off point for a lot of people as well, because they're maybe like, some of the names out there aren't that attractive. I'm going to look up something on Google while I do that. And this is going to be, I hate getting dragged into this. If you were going this time next week, if you were to pull in that name out the hat, is there anybody that you thought about? Is there anybody that kind of tickles your fancy?
I will be honest and say no, because as it's been brought up time and time again, football for me, I don't really watch a great deal unless we've got a bet on. I feel like my knowledge is deteriorating year on year when it comes to outside of Celtic. I feel like 90% of what I talk about football-wise is Celtic. So I'm at the point where I don't really have any names coming up. 5 years ago, I feel like I could have told you a bit about every manager we were linked to, but right now, I feel like I'm very much in the current here and now, no thinking in the future. But now that we're talking about Ange as well, I mean, even just to go back to that briefly, I mean, if you had said to me, like, even in the summer in my head, I was like, right, if the stars aligned and we managed to get Ange next summer, I would have been aware of that. But see now the way this season's gone, it's kind of put it into perspective of what we're talking about. Is the club does need freshened up, obviously for the very tap, but if we're looking at a managerial appointment, we have been really same for the past 10 years. It's been that safety net, somebody can come back and it's the familiarity of what we know and love. But as you were talking about, the buzz when Ange came in and when things got gone, that was brilliant, and that wasn't exactly replicated when Rodgers came back. Who's to say it would happen again with Ange coming back? I think we as a club, we've just, as you said, safe. It's will supporters get behind that, because it's obvious that Ange would be most people's.
They definitely get behind Ange,
but like, do you think supporters are falling into? We say the club's playing it too safe. Do you think supporters have now fell into that mindset they wouldn't accept it?
I don't know.
They would obviously get behind it, but I feel like we need to step outside our comfort zone.
I know. I think we're just far too comfortable. On that note, I have looked up what I said. Oh, Dylan, sorry, I didn't even come to you. Is there anybody you've thought about in particular?
No, to be fair, I'm the same as Kieran. I've not really gave it too much thought yet, because I didn't really think Rodgers is going to go anyway or get sacked. But I did think it would be nice to get somebody new in. Albeit I don't really know who yet, but I think it just is something we need to consider.
So let's play a wee game. We are the board. You're Michael Nicholson. No, we're the board, right? And I'm going to run through candidates according to the bookies. I'm going to run through the first few kind of favourites to least favourite, and I don't want to obviously tell 10 minutes for every candidate. Just kind of gives it a shank, basically. Essentially, So of course, Ange is the favourite at 74, and I'll make it clear. Once again, I'm not saying no to Ange as a guy, I just saying no to the situation. I'd rather somebody else, but if it's him, I'd be okay with it.
Why did I think you said like 74 is his age? My brain just was like, wait, Ange's 74? I was like, what?
So I'm assuming that we are like, if it was him, okay, we're fine with it. Like, that's the kind of the consensus, but we'd rather try something else first.
To be like, I'm not going to lie, we would probably still be buzzing if he was to come back, but at the end of the day, as we've all said, it would be nice to get something.
Robbie Keane is 41.
Nope.
No, that was a quick no there, actually. I wouldn't put him in like a top like 3 or anything, but I like Holly. I think he played great football at United. It was hard done by the circumstances of being at Manchester United, like most people are in this day and age. A stand-up guy, maybe not the best on paper, but I think he'd do well at Sellik, in my opinion.
I think he'd do that. I mean, even when you look at like his failed seasons at United and you contrast them to like
Ten
last year
or Amorim,
it's wild.
I know.
It wasn't that bad.
Nearly took him a second, man.
Did a decent derby record as well, didn't he?
Aye.
Somebody that can win a derby.
So
fuck it, that's enough for me.
I'm perversely yes, but no like yes. I want Ollie. I'm just like, you know what?
I wouldn't mind it.
I wouldn't mind it. I know, but he's one that would. I know there's a lot of people when they want Ollie, just because he's not got a record of winning and stuff like that. Somehow at 91, and obviously quite an interesting situation because apparently his contract expires, is Knutson at 91, who I think we'd all say aye.
No.
But it's not going to happen.
No.
I said this in the chat last night. He must be getting looked at by some big, like, he wouldn't go anytime soon. I think he's doing quite well. But see if Dortmund were to get rid of Niko Kovac, he'd stroll into the Dortmund job. Absolutely walk it into it. Or if somebody was to go from a big top 4 side in one of these continental leagues, maybe not down England, but certainly other leagues. I think he's beyond Celtic now. I don't think we can get him, even if he was available in December.
I wonder if he's aware of how much he's been spoken about on Celtic and Rangers podcasts in the last few years. Who'd have known beating us a few years ago in the Conference League is enough to get you mentioned every other week on a Celtic.
I know, every time something with a manager comes up, you hear his name every time.
This is a list, by the way. This is a list. 21, Craig Bellamy.
No.
Wales manager.
I mean, he's safe for Rangers, but maybe not managerial wise, but that would be something.
Just then 12-1, talking about Manchester United, you've got Eric Ten Shag. Eric 10 in a row hag. Which, up until the Leverkusen stuff, I would have been fucking full on. I would have been like, yes, please, I'll take 10 in a row hag. But
I just have something with baldy managers now, man. Slot's going down that road for me, I know. I'm like, sorry, man. I don't trust them.
But like, Ten Hag is a weird one because Ajax, phenomenal job. Like, crazy good job. That's why you get the Man United job. Then he goes to Man United and he wins 2 cups, gets to 3 cup finals. He finishes in the top 4. Once again, problems with the systematic issues at Manchester United that he can't really help. But the Leverkusen stuff has really harmed them. But that's what's really kind of been the off-putter for Eric Ten Hag, I think.
No, what's your opinion? You're the Man U fan. What would you say if Ten Hag was getting strongly rumoured with us?
I think Ten Hag is a bit of a diddy, but I also feel like he is clearly a good coach. If he got fucking Ajax to the Champions League semi-finals, is that living a bit in the past? I don't know. I would take him at Sellik. But once again, the same vein as Ollie. I wouldn't be like, oh yes, Eric Ten Hag, go and get him. I'd just be like, fine, that's it. I'll get behind him. And I think there's worse options.
Dylan's really planted the seed in my head about no wanting a baldy manager now. I'm like, if our next manager doesn't need to put his suit up when it's raining, then he's not for me.
Here's some quick fires, right? Just if any of these names, I'll jump through the entire list, and if any of the names jump out to you, keep them in mind. If any of them really don't jump out to you, then you can say, fuck that. Right, so Maloney at 12-1. Marco Rose 14-1. I see some looks. Michael Carrick 14-1. No. Gareth Southgate 16-1.
No, I hate him.
Oh, his football's shocking. But that England team, I swear to God, see when people talk about like, go to finals, you go to semis, mate.
That is true. I'd be like Steve Clark, wouldn't it?
You know, for me, man.
If we go, we all go out and buy waistcoats. Lee
Carsley 16-1. I don't even know how that's there. Scott Brown 16-1. Gary O'Neill 20-1. Lopetegui 20-1. Steve Clark 20-1.
Oh, fuck off.
David Moyes 25-1. Jesse Marsh 25-1.
Fuck, that's really throwing it back.
Ruud van Nistelrooy 25-1. This one coming up, I'm actually alright with this and I think it would be a good appointment. Edin Terzic 28-1. Got Dortmund to a Champions League final. Won the Pokal with Dortmund. Should have won the league with them if they didn't bottle it the last day of the season.
I still can't believe that, man.
I maintain is the player's fault and no his. He done basically all he fucking could as a coach.
Home as well, remember that? Because I think it was the day we won the league.
We were doing it
getting beat 2-0 or whatever it was. I think they pulled it back to each or something.
Neil Lennon 33-1.
I would kill myself.
Get off me.
Sean Dyche 33-1, even though he's just took a job. Roy Keane 40-1. Henrik Larsson and Martin O'Neill 50-1. That's the list there.
Is Martin O'Neill still an option? He's mental, isn't it?
I'll take him back at this stage. But that is not a glamorous list by any stretch.
It does put it into perspective. The realities if Rodgers was to have to go.
So does it just maybe reinforce the point that maybe John Kennedy is the better option in the season, then you go for there and evaluate? I don't know.
Well, why don't we get all the boys in? A nice wee amalgamation of John Kennedy, Sean Maloney. Now you need to have Charlie Mulgrew in there, you know. I'll be
too busy fucking playing
the golf videos, man.
Too busy playing golf. I really don't know what's next. Hopefully